Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This panel is titled XR in Retail. My name is Lance Anderson. I am the CMO consultant and advisor for my company called Lance AR. We provide product and marketing strategy for application solution providers within the AR space who are looking to take their product to the next level. But more importantly, we also work with enterprises themselves through workshops and strategies. Our goal is to actually take people from what we call pilot purgatory, just constant piloting, and move them into scaled deployment. So that's what our skill set is. But I don't want to do much of a sales pitch here. I'd rather introduce the other folks on my panel here. To my right, I have Merz. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Merz. I work by Daimler, as we say in Germany. And I'm part of the IT retail digitalization team. So our focus is the digital transformation at the retail with the focus on sales. And yeah, we work very closely together with our marketing department and also the other IT departments like global services and parts and after sales.
Excellent. And of course, we have Thomas Orenz from Audi. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Thomas. I'm working on the other side at Audi, I would say at the marketing. So we have the requirements and the duties. And I'm responsible for everything which is 3D at Audi City, for example, and also in the web. So responsible for the visual fidelity, for look and feel, for the car, for the environment, and so on.
Very good. So let me start with you, Christian. So I'm pretty sure that XR and AR in auto is hopefully not another sales gimmick, but why exactly is Daimler using XR in retail?
Yeah, of course, we want to increase our revenue. If you look at the retail space, everything is about selling cars. It's about selling cars with a higher configuration. And of course, we are now looking into VR and AR to manage this. For example, the best idea to sell a car is you have it physically there exactly with the configuration the customer wants to have. And with some extras, so you can do the upselling stuff. So that would be the perfect world. The customer can say, hey, here it is, charge me some extra money and go for it.
Sounds expensive in terms of real estate and inventory, doesn't it?
Exactly, yeah. And the problem is at Daimler, we have over 30 models with billions of configurations. So this is nothing we can really do. So then we looked at the key success factors for selling a car. So, for example, a customer, if he wants to buy a car, among others, he looks into points like design, power, and safety. For design, you always need visualization. You have to show him the car, and of course, you can show him a picture, or you can show him a video of the car configuration. But the customer wants to be immersed into this vehicle, so and therefore it's very cool to have such technologies. And another thing is power. If you want to buy a car, you want to sit in, for example, an AMG. You sit into the car and do a test drive, and you have such a smile in your face, and that is why people buy such cars. And now the problem is, for example, I'm on a trade fair. I don't have so much models that all the people can sit in and experience it. So there we can use a VR experience, for example, to give him an impression what kind of power our cars really have. And yeah, that's our first use case then. It's the virtual vehicle presentation. It's a 3D car configurator. And on the one hand, you can use it on a 4K touch table, or you can use it with your VR glasses. And the 4K touch table can be used by the customer by his own. So if he comes to the store and there are coming so many people that we don't have enough salesmen for them, they can go to the 4K touch table and bring their online code from the website and directly work with their desired model. And on the other hand, we have the VR experience, also fully configurable, and the dealer has the possibility to guide the customer. So he comes with his desired configuration, and then the customer says, okay, looks very nice, but look at this letter. It only costs you 5,000 euro more. So you can guide the customer to the point where you really want to have him. So this is a great tool. We are working on this, I think, since the last 2 years. We had different pilots in different modes, and since this year we have the full configuration in it, and we are testing it in the German market as well in some others, and that's the first use case, and then we have the point, for example, the safety stuff. So you have to explain your customers the assistive systems, all the software you can buy within a car. I think the value of a car in the future will be half and half hardware and software. So you have to bring this to the customer, and when a customer comes to retail, he's very well informed about his car. He knows exactly what he wants to have. Usually he knows it better than the dealer. So our products experts must be able to explain all the technical details in a very easy manner. And that means we need to train our product experts. And this year on the IAA in Frankfurt, we presented a HoloLens app that allows the product experts to learn a lot about the car and all the features. For example, it shows you the space next to the car where you can't see a cyclist, for example. And then on the other hand, you can visualize the space where the radar looks at, and you will see, okay, there is a cyclist in a space I can't see, but the assistive system of the car will see it and it will warn me. So it's also something like
great
trust,
for American drivers in Germany.
Yes, and we use this at the moment to train the product experts, and we got a lot of feedback that they really like this tool, and they want to show it to customers too. So at the moment, if you want to experience it, you can go to our customer center in Rastatt. There, our customers also has the possibility to experience this.
That's really, really cool. Great ideas, great technology. To me, it sounds like an impossibility of back-end data and renderings and information that's probably changing all the time. So let me turn now to Thomas, and help me understand maybe like, what are you guys doing in this space, and how are you enabling this type of technology?
Sure. Well, I would call us a little bit maybe the pioneers having such a system in retail, because we started about 2012 with so-called Audi city formats, like having the first one in Berlin, Beijing, London, with the approach not to have cars physically there, but showing the whole range of possible configurations. So in the core, it's the same stuff like Mercedes-Benz is doing also now, and others are coming up. So for us, it's a given right now. So we try to enhance every Audi city, and to get to your question, and reduce the amount of IT and infrastructure and built-in facilities, just maybe also because of the cost efficiency, which has been announced shortly, so we have to pay some money extra. We need also to find ways to reduce the amount of money to spend for retail, and this already happened. So we have about 500 to 700 systems out there, also combined with walking and sitting VR. That means these are VR systems where you can be fully engaged and sit in the car and see the car, how it does feel like. You can switch off the radio, you can also turn on the sound, you can hear the cars behaving a little bit, and always the approach to say, okay, potentially stay ahead of competition, do something more, follow the claim Forschung durch Technik, but taking most of it right now into the ordinary retail, that everyone out there can have an additional experience. Really, again, to measurably cross an upsell if a person enters the dealer to say, okay, why not also taking VR systems and do the configuration a bit more physically, and and for sure to stun the people, say, okay, we blow them away. If possible, to say, okay, I haven't experienced that before. I love it. I come back. I speak about it. I refer to my partner and also to colleagues to say, okay, let's give it a try. It's a very nice tool for everyone out there.
Yeah, and in the end, it's about selling cars, is it not? Right?
Definitely.
And it does sound, obviously, 2012 to now is a long time and a lot of investments in personal time and resources. So now you're here, or you're close, or you're trialing, or what have you. So, help me understand some of the challenges you either have recently overcome, or some of the things that you're still facing here. I think that's important to the audience here, as we all try to together to overcome these barriers to get this type of technology in the hands of our customers to ultimately drive revenue to our company. So, I'll come back to you, Thomas, on this one.
Yeah, sure. I think there are still a few questions out there just because of VR and the usage. For sure, there's always a physically or a personal balance between the salesperson, the HMD he might has on, and the sales process. So if the person is really locked away, it's hard to interact. That's somehow a barrier I still see. But nevertheless, it does blow away people, definitely. The challenge we currently have, or I'm currently also having a pilot out there, also starting 2014, was we know about Audi City, we know about the hardware and the software. Can we ease this to buyer on device scenario to make it even smaller and more particular, very, very small and tiny? And the recent management asked us, okay, what could be done? Can we push this VR content without any change into a cloud and make it configurable for everyone around the world? And yes, we can. So I think we talked about before. It's a very obvious challenge to say, okay, if possible, for sure, if you have still a VR system, you need to have low latency, you need to have 90 frames per second, then it might be still a duty for the next 1, 2, 3 years to have high performance computers, somehow location-based, that you have a VR impression. But what we really succeeded was taking the same VR content we are using in retail with 5 to 8 million polygons, with all this configuration, without any change, brought this into an AWS cloud, and pushed this into the web pages at Audi.com, or Audi DE, UK, Italy. So we have a rollout for 25 countries right now, and I think that's a very nice use case. Even you can measure the success of VR content in the web. That's first. And without change, you have a multiple approach to have this content set up once and use it very, very often for millions of users around the world without any touch. And this is a very nice use case we're currently approaching.
That's very impressive. What I'd love to hear is that you're actually measuring outcomes and you're measuring success so that you can either shift focus or improve focus or enhance it. I just love to hear that there is real business reasoning and rules behind some of this really cool stuff you're putting out there, right?
It was easier, I have to admit, in former times when we had a bit more money at Audi. Building up Audi City, we had the budget, and there was for sure some restriction, but there was the open discussion to say, okay, do what you can, try your best, enhance from every single location to the next one, do something fancy no one has seen before. And right now, just because of the situation, it brings us down to little more tiny aspects to multiply, to measure it, and currently everything we do internally needs to be measured. If it doesn't do anything for the Audi AG, at least not for the customer, no one within internally would succeed to get any kind of budget next to the duties we have.
I personally think urgency, need, necessity is extremely important as we go through this AR, so that we get rid of the ancillary and we focus on where the real business value is. So let me turn to you, Christian. So for your business, any challenges or things that you guys faced in this regard?
No.
Nothing? Perfect. Easy, slipped it right in.
No, of course. We have a lot of challenges we have to face too. And I think in terms of retail, you have a lot of different people that want to use your experience. I think the first point is it has to be so easy that if someone comes into the retail, he has to put the VR glasses on, and the show must go on. He has directly to get into the experience, and immediately it has to work. For a training scenario, it's no problem if I use 30 minutes to explain how the system works. This doesn't work within the retail. So it must be that easy that it can be done by everyone, including my mother. Everyone should be able to handle this. And if we only have such a short time frame, that means we have a lot of people who uses these VR glasses. And you know, in the summer when it's hot, then we have a hygiene problem.
Sure.
And it's very funny if a girl takes off the glasses and then the makeup isn't in the face anymore. It's on the glass, and that's a huge problem for us.
Yeah.
And it's one factor why the acceptance for VR glasses at the moment is not that high within the retail space. And another point is, I think the Germans know very well how to build a car, and everyone accepts that. The way we sell a car or the way we do marketing is completely different over the whole world. And if we now came with our solution and say, here, use this VR experience to sell your car, we get a feedback from the market, okay, it's nice, but at the moment I have my own supplier, and he really knows how I will sell my car here and how I will do marketing. So this is the second one, and the third big one is the hardware challenge. If we do a global rollout, then our dealer has to invest a lot of money into the hardware, and they want to use this hardware over the next 2 to 4 years.
Yeah.
And you all know that 2 to 4 years within XR
It doesn't last long.
is the
Multiple
complete
lifetimes.
Yes.
century. Yeah. So
It's old when
this
shipped.
is very hard for us.
More or less.
Interesting. So my perspective in retail, I'll share it quickly because it is outside of the automotive space, where the value of the sale is much, much lower, and the customer engagement level is lower and slower, and that user capability, so the intuitive experience when we put this foreign object on our heads, the way we interact with it, again, you have no time to train. The customer has very little patience for education, so that user experience needs to be immersive so that they can actually focus on what you're trying to deliver, which is this sales experience. So whether it's hand gestures, I mean, we all swipe our phones. If you were in a factory, you'd want your two hands to be working on something, right? So maybe hand gestures wouldn't be appropriate there. But for retail, so consumer goods, things like that, if people are used to swiping a phone, let's let them swipe the VR or the AR experience. Make it intuitive. Maybe it's a little slower, but it gets that experience. It gets the immersion and the hardware and the interaction away from the user and gets them into the car to hear the motor, to see the colors, to get excited, to get that buying urge, so that we speak. So that's what the challenge is. We do have a little time left. So Christian, could you share what you can, a little bit about where you guys plan to go with in the future with this technology?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked before the session about this topic, and it will be very interesting. Today I walked over the Expo, and I didn't find any booth providing a solution for marketing. There was nothing. And also, if you look at the hard and the software part, I think one big thing that we have to provide our customer is a digital giveaway. Give him something he can take with home, he can share with his family. It should be nice, it should be fancy, because otherwise he wouldn't use it. And the thing is, every AR application I see at the moment is an app. And that means our customers have to download so many apps, and that's a barrier. So what we need is web-based XR. So the customer gets a link, gets an URL, and he can directly start without having to download an app here. And of course, I'm from the IT department. It's always a little bit different than what our business unit thinks, but our goal or our plan is to have big platform, like retail as a service, so that every market we have out there can build their own experience, can build their own stuff, and they can directly connect to this platform. So so we have the infrastructure, we have all the interfaces to our data, 3D data or car logic data. We have implemented all the Daimler guidelines and rules that you have to deal with if you want to do an application for Daimler. And with such a platform, with such an infrastructure, I think it's much easier for all the suppliers out there to reduce the time to market and bring really cool stuff to our customers and help us to sell cars.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it sounds with much retail, e-commerce, right? And so people are shopping from home. It's kind of hard to buy an expensive car from your house. So this sounds to me, it's a wonderful way to, when someone walks out of the dealership today, they just walk out of the dealership. Now they can take the dealership with them and revisit it and take it home to their husband or wife and try and convince them how cool this car is and come to an agreement and get over that buying purchase. So that's really intuitive stuff. So how about you, Thomas? Any challenges, barriers, or things that you need to break down for Audi?
Maybe just to add something, we totally agree. It needs to be as native or as integrative as possible, everything which comes afterwards. And I had just had a speech before, and I just mentioned two numbers or figures from some surveys. So the willingness to buy online, I don't know if it will fit also to BMW and Mercedes-Benz and Audi, globally is by 75%.
Wow.
In Asia or Japan or Asia and global, it's by 92%. So it's quite likely that we might have some kind of change in the future, because people are get used to eBay, Amazon, buy directly, even maybe higher priced products, definitely yes. Challenge from myself for sure is, well, I think we have, as also other brands to the left, wonderful cars which are possible to be fully immersed in the virtual world, but not everything is displayable or feelable, or you can't touch everything. If someone asks me, okay, when I enter the dealer, can you explain me the virtual cockpit or the climate display and the A8? I would say maybe here's something you could look into. You find some films. I would like to have every connected system of the backend, which is in production, being connected to the virtual marketing car, that I have a full equipped virtual car wherever I am. And hopefully it is always the same car, somehow with a push button solution, which is capable also to drive AR solution, but I would jump into the same corner that you just mentioned. It's hard to find some application I would currently proceed with, because potentially what I love my content, I love high quality, I love the best visual fidelity. And therefore, an AR stuff needs to look as good as possible. That means it needs to be integrated highly into anything we see around reflection, IBL, shadow, everything else. So AR is for sure an additional stuff, just for as in the giveaway, to take it with you after configuring an order and getting the car delivered. There must be something in between. And therefore, AR might be a very nice giveaway or nice stuff. I'm lagging for the quality at the moment, so I'm really waiting for, yes, that's it. I would like to have it, so it's still not there.
Yeah, but your work is getting it much closer.
Yeah.
And I'd say before we start taking questions, you're both are in retail. You're selling a very high valued product, right? So it's an emotional sale, right? Can't really return it. At least not very easily, right? So, but what I tell my clients in retail is, if you know exactly what you're looking for, you know the model number of a printer or a printer cartridge, you can go online and buy it. There's no emotion, you know what you're looking for. In things like clothing, eyewear, high value items like cars, or where it gets emotional, these type of experiences for the retailer are super important, because it doesn't then just rely on the physical and costly dealerships or the talent of the salespeople you have to coax that emotional thing and actually close that deal. You can let someone go home and think about it and come around to it a lot easier. So, and the investment in this technology, how it can expand your footprint without expanding your dealerships and putting cars everywhere, is really, really, it's more than amazing. It's going to move your industry forward. So I'm really glad to hear it. So listen, we have about 5 minutes left. I believe and hope that we have some questions from the audience. And I believe we are using the slider program. And if we are, it should start coming up. And you can see I'm speaking slowly because there's no questions coming up. Are we going to see any questions here? Yeah? Nope. Well, I'm going to ask a few questions then. So. Here he is.
Yeah, that's why I'm here when it comes to those.
Our superhero has arrived, our AWE superhero.
Well, I would like to know, is it possible that the emotions of customers when buying a car also turn negative if the experience are disappointing?
Of course. Fun fact. Before I worked for the retail part, I was in the development. And there I wrote my bachelor thesis. It's a few years ago, and we were in a cave, so no head-mounted displays. And I need a lot of people who do some how is it called, Probanden.
Some exercises, you mean?
Yes. So I need people for my thesis who look at what I did. And I got some from ergonomics and see that, oh, great, you did something with finger tracking within the cave, so it's good for ergonomics, and I have to do an ergonomic study. Let's look how the ergonomic study will work within in the cave, in the virtual world. And in the end, it turned out that the ergonomic of a car was significantly better when the participants were in the virtual world than in the real car. So I think they were so excited about the virtual world that I thought, okay, the ergonomic of the car is better than in the real one. And I think when I keep this in mind, then I would say exactly, yes, when the experience is bad, then it could have a negative, it could be disappointing for the product itself.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I would agree.
All right, then let's proceed to the next one. Oh, an IKEA question now. Are OEMs just like IKEA think about AR, VR shopping? I don't know if you followed like the presentation before, so I don't know if I can ask you any questions.
I can touch on it a little bit,
Okay.
as I generally get to see a bit more of opportunities out there. So absolutely they are. I'd say most of them are in the more exploratory phase, but companies like IKEA that have gone for some initial small successes that were clear, like what you just saw, they are moving very quickly into other aspects of it. And I think you did touch on that in some of your speech so once the momentum starts rolling, these companies go all in, and their peers and their competitors are either going to have to join in or find another business.
Okay. The next one, Jed Fisher. What's your thoughts on Tesla selling cars in shopping centers using largely touchscreen, simple configurators? Is this the way of the future? I mean, this is something else. Instead of like going too much into like the AR, VR, they just say like, you know what, we're just going to bring our shops wherever people are. Do you think this is also going to be the future of selling cars?
I think yes. So I think company neighbor like Volkswagen did it, built up also pop-up stores. I think also you have something which is just smaller. In opposite, we did this with Audi City at the beginning of 4 or 5 years ago. We did too much. It was just overwhelming, also technically. Being there where the customers are, it might be definitely also a next good step. But it's always the question, where are they, how to maintain, how to track, how to measure the KPIs, and does it sell out at the very end? But yes, why not?
Right. I mean, in comparison, back in the days, you used to have quite of a tempo whenever you wanted to buy a car.
Definitely, yes, yeah.
Some even built like a whole Autostadt, so you never know.
Yeah. I'm aware of this.
So, coming to the next one. The highlighted one, it's in my experience with other brands, dealers can't explain infotainment and assistance systems strategy for that, which is true. I even witnessed that myself.
I could give another answer because honestly, I did this 2017, and I failed. I have to admit, it's very, very hard to, well, I wouldn't say infotainment, but we try to build up 10 to 12 functions, which are very interesting maybe to explain or to engage with VR or AR. And even little tiny bits like Quattro, so transmission stuff, or e-tron is definitely extremely hard to display or just to show. And also, it's for dealers, it's somehow very hard because you just mentioned we have so many derivatives out there, and even internal people which are ordering a car, having the car in front of us, of them said, I thought I ordered something different. So we have maybe also too much of everything out there, and I think not only Audi is thinking about reduction of options.
Well, from the customer point of view, it took me 5 years to understand that actually you can use the remote control just to open and close all the windows of the car. Some familiar tool. It took me 5 years without AI, anything like that. So you never know. Coming to the next one. Do you see consumers configuring a car and purchasing it right from their home using an app in AR?
Yes.
Isn't it already happening already?
For the Asian markets, of course. I think the thing is there we have a stock market. We don't have that configurability we have in Germany. So there I see it completely. At the moment in Germany we have such a big variance, and in other markets here, there I think we will need some time until we are at this point.
I would totally agree, yes.
All right. Then thank you for your question. The time for Q&A is up for that matter. So Lance, thank you so much for leading through this panel. Also thank you to Thomas, and also to Christian. Thank you for this one.
Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you.